Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the March 5th meeting of the Board of Education. Public notice will be read at the start of the regular public portion. Please rise for the pledge to the flag. Dr. Labby, would you like to lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Ms. Hill, roll call, please.
Mr. Balco?
Here.
Mrs. Bacco?
Here.
Mrs. Bloom?
Here.
Mr. Callahan?
Here.
Mr. Esposito? Mrs. Kenny?
Here.
Ms. Rubio?
Here.
Mr. Walsh?
Here.
Mr. Sayak?
Here. Mr. Esposito will be here around 7. Can I have a motion to retire into executive session?
So moved.
By Mrs. Bloom. Do I have a second? By Mrs. Rubio. Could you read the resolution, please?
Whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances. And whereas this public body is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Education of the Borough of Sayreville, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, as follows. The public shall be excluded from discussion of and action upon the hereinafter specified subject matters. The general nature of the subject matter to be discussed is as follows. Personnel, including but not limited to agenda items, a student matter, and attorney-client privilege regarding PERC matters. It is anticipated at this time that the above-stated subject matter shall be made public at such time as the need for non-disclosure no longer exists. This resolution shall take effect immediately. Mr. Balco?
Yes.
Mrs. Bacco?
Yes.
Mrs. Bloom?
Yes.
Mr. Callahan?
Yes.
Mrs. Kenny?
Yes.
Ms. Rubio?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Sayak?
Yes. Okay, thank you. The meeting is closed. We'll resume at 7:30. Fifth meeting of the Sayreville Board of Education. This is my favorite meeting of the year. It's a meeting in which we get to have the new and improved Board of Education take office. I also want to point out two things. First of all, many of you have heard our Vision 2030, which was started several years ago. Vision 2030 was patterned at that time to foster long-range thinking on the part of the board. And it basically targeted the kindergartners at that time and when they would graduate college, and that they were the class of 2030. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the class of 2030. They will be beginning their careers, completing their college education, serving in the military in 2030. And I'm delighted to have our Samsel Upper Elementary 5th graders here. I'd also like to thank Mr. Tola and Mrs. Coglianese for the wonderful job that I know that they've done in preparing these students. And before we begin the meeting, to the students, since we're talking about 2030, you are all the high school graduating class of 2026. And I want you to look over here to your right, because this young man sitting here is from the graduating class of 2019. And Johnny Lewis is our 2019 valedictorian. And for those of you who may not know what a valedictorian is, it means that all through high school, he got the highest grades in every single class in all of the courses that he took. And he not only got the highest grades, he also serves as our representative to the Board of Education. He serves on student council. He attended American Legion Boys State, and he's also on our basketball team. So it's not just about grades, it's also about being a well-rounded student and a wonderful human being. So congratulations, Mr. And with that, the new and improved Mr. Sayak will call this meeting to order.
I call this meeting to order. Good evening, and welcome to the March 5th meeting of Sayreville Board of Education. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
take note that this meeting of Sayreville Board of Education was sent to the Home News Tribune and the Star Ledger in the accordance with the chapter of 231 Public Law 1975. Further, in accordance with state law, a copy of this note was posted outside the Secretary office and also filled with the clerk of the Borough of Sayreville. Mrs. Hill, roll call, please.
Mr. Balco?
Here.
Mrs. Batko?
Present.
Mrs. Bloom?
Here.
Mr. Callahan?
Here.
Mr. Esposito?
Here.
Mrs. Kenny?
Here.
Mr. Rubio?
Here.
Mr. Walsh?
Here.
Mr. Sayak?
Here.
Oh, wait, I thought it said Walsh.
That was awesome.
Thank you, Mrs. Hill. We now have our valedictorians, student council representatives report. Mr. Lewis, can you tell us what happened at the high school?
Good evening, everyone. I think the key. Wait. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ryan Walsh, and I attend the Sayreville Upper Elementary School at the UES. We have some very exciting things going on last week. We had, I don't care. We had a character education lunch for students that demonstrate the trait of education. This week, we have a book fair at the school at Friday night. We have a character education family movie night where it'll be showing A Dog's Purpose about a dog. And that'll be later this month, we'll be participating in the Kids Health Challenge. During this physical educational class, which is funded for the American Heart Association, tonight, 20 awesome, when I mean awesome, I mean awesome, students at the SUES are representing an administration and Board of Education members now for the high school on March 1st, which already passed. Members of the Students' Council traveled down in Eisenhower School to read to the students Read Across America Day. The Students' Council's members dressed in costumes and engage with the students' activities filled with reading and fun. Prom is also coming up, and invitations are being sent to the out and bids, and I don't know what those dash. All getting ready to be sold at the high school, and I hope this is being recorded on TV.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. We do not have any attorneys report this evening. However, Dr. Labby, I think we have an awesome presentation that rocks this event, don't we?
Yes, we do, Mrs. Sayak. It's called Let the Children Lead. And it's about time. That was supposed to be a joke. Sorry. presentation, all the members of Let the Children Lead from SAMSL research one question, and that was, if we could change one thing about the district, what would we do? Why? It would be an honor, Mrs. Sayak, if you would approve me to start.
Thank you, Dr. Labby, and thank you, Mrs. Corb. Oh, thank you. You may begin.
If I had the power to change one thing in the school district, I would raise the rating of the Sayreville schools. The elementary school rating calculation, which I found on the internet, is based on 3 of the school's themed ratings, which are a test score rating, student or academic progress rating, and the equity rating. I have some suggestions to improve them. The test score rating goes by which students score at and above average, and this determines how well the school is preparing them for the test and for getting further knowledge. To raise SAMSL's test score average, I think teachers should spend more time preparing them for tests and preparing them with similar material to the test. The student or academic progress rating goes by how much the students have learned this year. To improve the school's student progress rating, I think we should raise the curriculum circumstances. I have realized that we have been learning about the same things we did last year. Even if we are learning the same thing, I was surprised to see they have not advanced it much. The equity rating measures how well school serves the academic development of all the students. I think our academic curriculum is good, but it benefits the below average students a little bit more, and in result to that, the students with the higher level do not get to learn many new things. To benefit the advanced students, I think we should add some enrichment classes. Thank you. What do you think, Mrs. Sayak?
I think that's a very good idea.
What would you change?
I would definitely change the bus route. I surveyed my sister, Haley Kilpatrick, and my sister, some buses actually come very late for her school, and which is the Sayreville Middle School, and also sometimes my bus comes late too. So I think changing the bus route, it could be very convenient, so we don't have to get home very late.
That's very interesting. How about you, Mr. Esposito?
The one thing I would like to change, I would like to see take place in our school district is to have better technology. I would like to have better Chromebooks, smartboards, and fast Wi-Fi installed in all our schools to enable uninterrupted and smooth classes. Throughout my years at Truman and SAMSL, the one thing I have noticed is that our teachers depend heavily upon technology. All of their lessons are online, so if the computers or the internet malfunctions, the class comes to a standstill. This slows down the learning and teaching process. This not only puts the classes behind schedule, but it also puts stress on the teachers who are trying to keep up with their plans. Having better technology would help students and teachers to the best learning and teaching experience.
What do you have to say about that, Mr. Glock-Malloy?
If I had the power to change one thing about the school district, it would be to change the fact that not all students have a bus ride to and from school. I know some friends, including my sister, who do not have buses to get to school and back because they live close. I feel like the district would benefit from this because parents would have less hustle driving the children back and forth from and to school. I also feel like this might be unsafe for kids who are in 6th grade and have to walk.
How about you, Mrs. Backo? What would you change?
One thing that I would change about the district is the lunch times in school. I would want to extend the time so that we get enough time to finish our food. Some kids don't get enough time to finish their food because there is not enough time. So I would want to change that and make enough time for everyone to finish their food instead of throwing the rest of it out and wasting money.
That's excellent. But before I get hungry, what do you think, Mr. Callahan?
If I had the power to change one thing in the school district, it would be to put air conditioning on the buses. I would do this because a lot of my friends complain that it gets very hot on the bus in the summer. This would benefit the bus driver and the students.
Wow, that brings new meaning to a cool bus. How about you, Mrs. Bloom? What would you change?
If I could change one thing in this district, it would be the food services. I've noticed a few things I would like to change at lunch. One of them would be the temperature of the food. By 6th period lunch, the food gets kind of cold. I would also like to change how much time we have for eating lunch. As the lunch lines are very long, children don't have much time to eat their food. Also, when children bring food from home, we should have facilities to warm the food so children can enjoy their lunch. These reasons show what we need to change in our cafeterias. Thank you.
So cool buses and hot food, right? How about you, Mr. Balka? What would you change?
If I had the power to change one thing about the district, it would be the expansion of our school community. I chose this because I feel we need more elementary schools. I would also decrease the amount of students in each class. This is where my expansion opinion comes in to hold students who don't find room in a class.
I love that idea. How about you, Mrs. Rubio?
If I could change one thing about the school district is the temperature conditions in the schools. It is often observed that in some classes kids are cold as heating system needs replacement or repair, or hot due to the faulty air conditions. To share with you an experience from last year, while I was taking the park test, where students had to sit in a hot classroom without any air conditioning. There was only one fan in the room, and it could not do any justice to the blazing heat, so it was hard for the students to focus and do well on the test. I would like other board members to review and request. It is important to keep in mind that a conducive school environment is the key to success of its children. Thank you.
I agree 100% with you, Mrs. Rubio. Mr. Koldmansberger? Please check the heat at the Samsel Upper Elementary School.
And I don't know
Now?
how that's funny.
How about you, Mrs. Kenny? What would you like to change?
If there was one thing I would change about the district, it would be to add air conditioning into every classroom. The reason I feel I would add air conditioning into every classroom is because during the end of the year it gets very hot, and because it gets very hot, it gets very hard for kids to focus. And instead of listening, we kids are trying to cool down. That is why I feel there should be air conditioning in every classroom in the district.
You're pretty quiet, Dr. Shadia. What would you change?
If I can change one thing about the district, it would be to have all Sayreville public schools have air conditioning in every school and classroom. I would make this happen because on hot days, me and my classmates would be really hot and sweaty and have nothing to keep us cool. Also, not having the right climate around us due to no air conditioning, this can cause distraction for working students. In conclusion to this, if we did have air conditioning, there wouldn't be any half days due to the excessive heat.
Ms. Hill? It seems like everybody wants air conditioning. Have you budgeted the $36 million we will need for that?
Not at this moment.
Darn. What would you like to change, Ms. Hill?
If I could change one, good evening, audience members and board members. If I could change one thing about the entire school district, it would be to give teachers a higher salary. We all want good salary, and teachers are no exception. A survey found that 92% of teachers pay from their own pockets to buy supplies for students. Not only that, teachers also pay for graduate school and ongoing professional training. Because of this, teachers are working second jobs, and some are even selling their blood to make ends meet. The adults educating the students of today, the working class of tomorrow, labor hour after hour only to earn low salaries. How can we live with ourselves knowing this? Do teachers educating the future of society not deserve to be acknowledged, to be admired? Teachers are one of the, if not the most, underpaid professions in the country.
Very well said, Ms. Hill.
Mrs. Hill, I think you should check the chair, the negotiating committee.
Mr. Walsh, you used to be a teacher. What would you like to change about the district?
If I had the power to change one thing about the district, it would be the library book condition. I love to read, and it is very important in education. However, some of the books are not in the optimal condition. The pages could have marks or rips, the cover is torn up, and the books are falling apart in the inside. This makes it hard to read, and this can make the book impossible to use. And it wastes a lot of money for the district. To prevent this, I would put a more protective seal on the books and prevent people from ruining and damaging the book. This can save the board money and time repairing books. This is why I would change the books in the libraries to a better condition.
Mr. Lewis?
I just want to thank you again
For being
the inspiring student
the inspiring student
that we are so very, very proud of.
that we are so very, very proud of.
And I would also like to thank you
And I would also like to thank you
for sacrificing
for sacrificing
your personal
and academic time
and academic time
to be here with us
at every meeting
at every meeting for the past 2 years.
Speaking of change, is there anything you would like to change about the district?
Speaking of change, is there anything you would like to change about the district?
I like to change the more educational field trips. Yeah, and that's all.
I agree. I think we could use more trips.
And thank you, whoever
Mrs.
said that.
Coglianese. Do you agree? And what would you like to change?
Yes. If I had the power to change one thing about the school district, I would have online school. Like if we have a snow day, then we can make it up online. This helps because you don't have to do the work the next day. Also, then we don't have to add extra days at the end of the year. In my opinion, online school would be really helpful. Thank you.
How about you, Mr. Tola?
Hi. I would like to change, I would have stricter rules. If we had stricter rules, we would have a safer environment for students to learn in. Sometimes I see students out of control and many other bad situations. Stricter rules would help avoid any bad behavior and would help and benefit us in our learning.
Thank you.
How about you, Dr. Aguiles?
I strongly believe the district should teach students specific to their learning needs. This should allow students who need extra help in a subject more time to understand what's being taught. It will allow students who understand the certain subject be able to go ahead and not
get bored waiting for students to catch up after they understand the subject. Teachers will learn more about which students understand this subject and which students understand another. I know this will improve the district. Thank you.
Before I ask you, Mr. Nastor, I'd like to compliment you on your tie. It works really well with your shirt.
Thank you. Thank you. If I had the power to change one thing about the school district, I would put 2 cafeterias in each school. This is because I always feel like the hallways are jam-packed when going to lunch, and no one has any room. Sometimes we take a shortcut to the lunchroom. And if you were upstairs and you were going to lunch, which is downstairs, the stairs might get packed, so kids might be pushing and someone might get hurt. Sometimes there is no time to eat because of how long it takes to go to the lunchroom.
Thank you. Speaking of attire, Mr. Coleman'sberger, you are rocking that bow tie.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'd like you to wear that from now on.
If I had the power to change anything in the school district, I think we should be able to vote for what we want for lunch, but have certain choices like 3 per day. Because I think lunch is always reoccurring, and sometimes I would have this thing that day and the same thing the next day. And I think it would make students happier.
Hello. If I were to change one thing about the school district, I would increase the amount of time that you get to study park. Because I feel a lot of students have a lot of pressure on them when they take park, and they won't do as best as they could if they studied more. So I feel if we increase the park study time, students will know the material better, and they won't have as much pressure on them. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hochran. And thank you to all our Board of Education members and administrators for sharing your great ideas in how we can improve the school district. Dr. Shediak, were you taking copious notes?
Yes.
Thank you. And now we also have one last presentation. Please give a great big hand for a student from Sayreville War Memorial High School who would like to give you a very special presentation that will greatly help our community. I introduce to you Miss Megan Corby.
Good evening. My name is Megan Corby, and I'm a freshman at Sayreville War Memorial High School. I'm a senior Girl Scout in Sayreville South Fanboy Troop 80073. I am trying to earn my Gold Award. For my Gold Award project, I plan to establish a new division in Sayreville Little League called the Challenger Division. The new division would allow special needs children to play baseball. The children will be paired up with a volunteer who would help guide them through the game. I believe this can be a rewarding experience for both players and volunteers. I brought a copy of my flyer that I will leave on the table for each of you to take, and if there are any questions about my project, I would be glad to answer them. Thank you, Dr. Labby, for allowing me to speak tonight to get the word out about my project.
Thank you, Megan. We are very impressed and inspired by your ideas. And we wish you the best of luck. But we know but we know you're going to get that gold award.
Dr. Levy, when are you going to fix all of this?
Pardon me, I didn't hear that.
When are you going to fix all of this, Dr. Levy?
I'm going to get to work tomorrow.
Thank you, Dr. Levy, and thank you, Mrs. Corby, for the outstanding presentation. Mr. Vice President, I believe you have some district highlights for us.
Yes, I do. We would like to take this opportunity to commend and congratulate the following Sayreville War Memorial High School, or SWMHS, art students who have artwork on display at the George Street Playhouse in New Brunswick. Sophia Castro at Digital Arts, Hope Clements at Advanced Art, Ella Kachta, Intro to Art, Tishka Maddock, Advanced Art, Angela Pistoli, Advanced Art, Mackenzie Smith, Intro to Art, and Reagan Stokes Carter, Digital Art. They are a group of exhibition sponsored by the Art Educators of New Jersey. Sophia Castro's submission was chosen for her official flyer. Additionally, we would like to congratulate the students in Miss Mojia's advanced art class at SWMHS, who created prints of the moth that will be included in 2 art galleries in Australia. The Moth Migration Project is a collaborative exhibition that will be on display at the Bundaberg Regional and Gympie Regional Galleries in May. Finally, we would like to commend and congratulate Mrs. Barbara Coyle, ASI teacher at the Samsel Upper Elementary School, and April Magistro, ASI teacher at Wilson Elementary School, who were recently chosen by the New Jersey Department of Education to be 2018 exemplary elementary teachers. According to the NJDOE, and New Jersey Department of Education, they were selected because of their exceptional teaching and leadership abilities, as well as for having such positive impact on students, colleagues, and school community.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Esposito. We now move on to the approval of minutes. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the regular and executive session of February 19, 2019?
So moved. So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any remarks on this minute? Mrs. Hill, can we have a roll call to approve this minute?
All right. Mr. Balka.
Here.
Mrs. Batco.
Yes.
Here.
Mrs. Bloom.
Yes.
Mr. Callahan.
Yes.
Mr. Esposito.
Yes.
Mrs. Kenny.
Yes.
Miss Rubio.
Yes.
Mr. Walsh.
Yes.
And Mr. Sayak.
Yes. The minutes have been approved. Dr. Labby, at the Simsel Upper Elementary School, we're learning about synonyms. Synonyms are different words that have the same meaning. With that in mind, I'll turn over the meeting over to you for your very brief, concise, short, succinct, consented, connect, and brief, relevant superintendent report. Dr. Abbey, take it away.
Thanks, Mr. Sayak. I believe I got the point. Can I turn your attention to Vision 2030, Finance and Infrastructure. Number 4 and 12 to 14, approval to accept the generous donations of furniture from DonorsChoose.org for a classroom project called Comfy Counseling, and 30-inch and 20-inch pedestal fans, a basketball hoop and net, a paint and stencils for the playground from the Wilson School PTO, and on page 2, addendum. Number 6, approval to accept advanced computer science competitive grant funding for FY 2019 in the amount of $47,900 on pages 2. And you can find that on page 2. Number 7, approval of resolution authorizing the district to sell through GovDeals, dispose of obsolete textbooks and technology equipment on page 3.
Yes.
Are there any questions on finance and infrastructure? Seeing none, I now bring your attention to student achievement. Beginning with number 3, approval of new quarterly elective courses to be offered beginning in September 2019 at the Sayreville Middle School on page 6. Number 2, and 4 through 7, approval of co-curricular activities, including but not limited to the below on page 6. Sayreville Credit Completion Summer School Program at the middle school from July 8th, 2019 to August 15th, 2019. Summer Enrichment Program at Sayreville Upper Elementary School from July 1st, 2019 to August 9th, 2019. Camp Excel Extended School Year Integrated Summer Program at Sayreville Upper Elementary School from July 8th, 2019 to August 8th, 2019. Attendance of the boys and girls cross-country teams at the Disney Cross Country Classic at the ESPN Worldwide of the Sports Complex in Orlando, Florida from October 2nd to October 6, 2019. Are there any questions on student achievement? Seeing none, I move to governance. Number 2, approval of the revised district school calendar for 2019-2020 school year on page 8. Number 3, approval of the job description for high school principal on page 8. Number 4, approval of agreement between the Sayreville Board of Education and the Sayreville Education Association settling unfair labor practice complaints and CO 2019-169 on the addendum. We are striking CO 2019-76.
Break protocol for a moment. We are striking CO 2019-076 due to a discussion about language. The board is in principle agreement with the spirit of 2019-76, but has directed me to go back to discuss some of the language used in that settlement agreement.
Any questions on governance?
Yes, I have a comment. With respect to governance, number 4, I would like to state that I disagree with striking number 076.
Had it not been stricken, I would have voted yes.
Any other questions or comments?
Yes, we have a question. If October 7th, 2019 is a half day, and October 9th, 2019 is there's no school, why not 8 no school?
I don't understand the question. Can you repeat that?
If we're off on the 7th and not. Oh. Yeah. If we have a half day on the 7th and there's no school on the 9th, why not just take off on the 8th?
The 7th is a half professional development day. And the 9th is a religious holiday.
Doesn't it cost us money to open the school for one day?
It's a half day, so another half, you can take off the 7th and 8th, rather than come in the 7th.
I don't understand that comment.
Here's what he's looking to do, okay? We're leaving on the 7th, a half day, the kids, right? Oh, we're opening the school on the 8th, and then we're closing again on the 9th. So what he'd like to do is close on the 8th rather than opening the school for a day. Just have those 2 days off and give the kids a nice little break, is what he's saying.
So it's not your...
It's not.
Oh, thank you.
Mr. Esposito,
Okay, I'll take the hit for the kid, don't worry.
that is a wonderful idea.
But if we did that,
we would be going to school in July.
but we would be going to school in July.
I don't think any of our students or parents
would like their children in school in July.
unless Mr. Coleman'sberger can put air conditioning in our schools. However, Ms. Hill would need to find the $36 million to do so.
Noted.
That's what I thought you'd say. Any other questions or comments on governance?
I have one. Number 4 on addendum, page number 1, abstain.
Duly noted. Seeing no more questions or comments,
I need to abstain on number 4 of governance.
thank you. Mrs. Blue?
Abstain. I need to abstain on number 4.
Thank you. Any others? Seeing none one last time, I now bring your attention to personnel. Number 1, acceptance of retirement of Ann Cosentino, assistant cook at the Sayreville War Memorial High School, effective on May 1st, 2019, on page 8. And I would like to read something. Interview to Miss Cosentino. Ann Cosentino started as a substitute cafeteria worker in 1992 and worked in all the schools until September 1994, when she was hired as a permanent part-time cafe worker at the high school. Due to Ann's desire to learn, she wanted to be part of the new kitchen at Sayreville Upper Elementary School and transitioned there as an assistant cook. Fast forward to a few more years, and Ann returned to the high school, furthering her passion to deliver delicious food to the students in Sayreville War Memorial High School. This is evident in the last 25 years that Anne takes pride in her work and mastered each position with positivity and enthusiasm. Anne's warm and comforting personality created an environment where her coworkers and students feel welcome. Whether it's a coworker's birthday or just the right day to have cake, she always had something baked just for you. Miss Cosentino went out of her way to create new recipes for the students as they were feasting on her own table. We will sorrowfully miss her for not just her hard work, but for the person she inspired her coworkers to be, caring, compassionate, and hardworking. Anne's family is truly blessed to have the time with her now. Cheers to Anne on her new adventure. On behalf of the staff and administration of the Sayreville Public Schools, we wish Mrs. Cosentino nothing but the very best that life can provide her in the next best chapter of her life. We would also like to sincerely thank her for the outstanding service she provided our students and her district. Moving on, number 7. Approval to appoint a new paraprofessional in the Project Before Preschool program for 2018-19 school year on page 15. Number 8 to 9, appointment of teachers to work in the Reach for the Stars Academy and to write curriculum during the 2018-19 school year on page 11. And Mr. Sack, that is my report.
Thank you, Dr. Labby. Are there any board members' comments?
We'll see. I have a question. Go ahead. I have a question.
I have a question.
Yes, Mrs. Backup.
I have 2 questions on page number 3. Number 3, page 8. The high school principal's job description. The first and easier of the 2. I've noticed that updated job description is much more detailed. Do you have any plans on updating the other principal and assistant principal job descriptions?
Yes. We will eventually begin the process of revising both those job descriptions as well as our middle school principal position.
Thank you. I have another question. The second question, with reference to number 9 in the job description, which reads as follows: manages human and physical resources in transparent ways such that the capacity of the school community to make complicated decisions grow. Can you explain what that exactly means in the language of a 5th grader?
It's the back of page 1.
Is number 9 under major responsibilities?
Yes.
Essentially,
It's the second sentence.
It's the second sentence.
essentially, this is speaking about the integrity and the ethics that this leader will use to manage the human resources or staff and the funds that he is authorized to lead. Or she.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? We will now open the meeting to public participation on agenda item only. If you wish to speak, please come to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, we will now close public participation. I'll entertain a motion to approve the superintendent's report.
So moved.
Motion by Mrs. Bloom. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Rubio. Are there any remarks? Ms. Hill, roll call.
Mr. Balka?
Yes, with items noted.
Mrs. Batko?
Yes, with comments noted.
Mrs. Bloom?
Yes, except where noted.
Mr. Callahan?
Yes.
Mr. Esposito?
Yes.
Mrs. Kenny?
Yes,
Ms.
except for
Rubio?
where noted.
Yes. Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Syed?
Yes. The superintendent's report is approved.
Wow. That's the first time anyone's ever clapped for the approval of the superintendent's report. I kind of like that.
The superintendent report is approved. Are there any committees which have met that wish to give a report?
Yes, Student Achievement Committee. We reviewed the school performance reports. They're embargoed until March 7th when we will be released to the public. We reviewed the 2019-2020 school calendar, which was the board approved in September 2018. The committee is recommending that Thursday, April 9th, be added to the day due of the celebration of Passover and one day added to the end of the school year. We discussed the new course offerings for middle school electives and reviewed the course descriptions. The middle school has been designated for targeted assessments and support being this school year, January 2022. The state is providing Sayreville Middle School with additional $56,000 in title funds this year to help us improve student performance. The state has announced that the graduation testing requirements for graduating classes of 2019 and 2020 are uncharged. Students will be able to demonstrate proficiency through the PARCC and NJSLA assessments, as well as the alternative assessments and the portfolio process. We are awaiting information about the class of 2019-21 and beyond.
Thank you. Are there any more committee reports? For the delegate to the New Jersey School Boards Association report, You should be aware of these following items. Advertising has begun for the Justin's Climate and Culture Program, which will be held here on April 6th. While it only been posted for a few days, we already have 15 school board members signed up for this event. The student recognition dinner is scheduled for March 26th. Any board member who wishes to attend should advise Mrs. Hill as soon as possible. My final NJSBA Board of Directors meeting will be March 15th. My term with the NJSBA Board concludes at the same time my past presidency concludes with NSBA, which will be at the conclusion of the annual conference in Philadelphia on April 1st. Are there any discussion items the board wishes to discuss? Mr. Exposito.
One of the great things you get to do as a Board of Education member is you get to read to our students. Thank our administrators for allowing us that privilege.
Thank you, Mr. Esposito. Any other discussion? We will now open the meeting to public participation on any item considered or questions only. If you wish to speak, please come to the microphone, state your name and address for the records.
Mr. Sayak, I believe that Mrs. Coglianese and Mr. Tola would like to say something.
Absolutely. Please come to the microphone.
Good evening, Dr. Labby, Dr. Shediak, Mr. Glock-Malloy, Ms. Hill, and members of the Board of Education. My name is Sanvi Kukreti, and I am here tonight representing Ms. Coglianese, principal of Samsel Upper Elementary School. I would like to thank you for giving us the opportunity to be part of this evening's Board of Education meeting. Over the past few weeks, we have had the opportunity to learn about the roles and responsibilities of being a board education member or administrator. We are happy to join members of our community tonight in making decisions about our school system. We would like to thank our families, friends, and our teachers who came out to support us tonight. Thank you, Ms. Didrusiak, Ms. Kasman, Ms. Wudershek, Mr. Daly, Ms. Parse, Ms. Mervin, Ms. Costa, Ms. Georgiana, Ms. Kraminski, Ms. Morosco, Mr. Lindeman, Mr. O'Keefe, Mrs. Darrow, Ms. Yee, Ms. Zidzik, Mrs. Latz, Ms. Fleschner, Ms. Uhas. At this time, I would like to introduce Dr. Aguilis.
Good evening, members of the Board of Education and Central Administration. My name is Gianna Novak, and I am representing Dr. Aguilis this evening. I would like to report a few things going on in the Department of Human Resources. This month, I will be attending job fairs across the state to recruit the best teacher candidates for the district. I'll also run our first job fair in Sayreville at the SUES on Saturday, April 13th from 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. Our job fair will recruit all district jobs, including substitute positions. Thank you. At this time, I would like to introduce Mr. Nasser.
The Department of Special Services would like to share that on February 25th, online registration opened for our Project Before Preschool and Kindergarten. Please visit the Sayreville Public Schools website for further information. On March 7th, our second annual preschool unified basketball game will be held in SUES Gymnasium at 3:30 p.m. Please enter through SUES Gymnasium doors. On or about March 25th, online registration for Camp IXL and Summer Enrichment will be open. Please visit the Sayreville Public Schools website for further information. Our Spring Unified Basketball season is underway with our March Madness tournament held on March 28th at Sayreville War Memorial High School. Game time for our high school students is at 2:30 p.m., with the middle school and SUES beginning at 3:30 p.m., and Arlett School beginning at 4:15. At this time, I would like to introduce Mr. Coleman'sberger.
Good evening, members of the Board of Education and Central Administration. My name is Liam Wilson, and I am representing Mr. Coleman'sberger this evening. I would like to report a few things going on with facilities and maintenance. New windows have been installed in Arlett School in the front of the building wing. We will be starting the security visuals at the high school, middle school, and Central Elementary School. We are hoping that the project will begin as early as April. This summer, we'll be busy with a new bus line at the Central Upper Elementary School and important projects. Our high school baseball field and track are getting redone, along with a classroom construction project at Harry S. Truman School. As always, we are keeping buildings clean and healthy. We are also always trying to keep up with the work orders district-wide. Please can we get heated parking lots and sidewalks so Dr. Labby can keep schools open when it snows. Finally, I would like to introduce Mr. Tola.
Good evening, members of the Board and Central Administration. My name is Rashida Sodadasu, and I'm here tonight representing Mr. Tola, Vice Principal of Samsel Upper Elementary School. I would like the students who have participated in the Let the Children Lead program to know how proud I am of their hard work and dedication to our school and the Borough of Sayreville. Within these students lies the future of our community. Thank you again for your participation and support in this special evening.
Anybody else want to address the board? We will now close public participation. On the next meeting date in March 19th, 2019, where we will have tentative adoption of the 2019-20 school budget. At this time, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Mrs. Bloom.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Rubio. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? The meeting is adjourned.